every terrible plague that was on the land, Pharaoh still wouldn't let the people go until this last one. This last one that I didn't even want to talk about. And I'll tell you why, because I had a bad dream about Ethan up and I associated it with the virus of the crown, and I woke up and I was sad because in the dream he had all of these, it looked like he had a really bad allergic reaction to something, and I actually screamed, "Danielle, get the Benadryl." I was so worried.
An undetermined pneumonia outbreak in China is hitting children hard, and children's hospitals are overwhelmed in multiple locations. Reports of a spike in pneumonia cases in China are similar to early reports of a mystery pneumonia outbreak in 2019.
Feels a little bit like history repeating itself. I'm sure you've heard the news about the pneumonia right now that is affecting so many people over in China, and how the World Health Organization has been reaching out because there are concerns that this could be, the virus of the crown part 2. What's strange about all of the timing of this is that, as you saw at the beginning of this show, I spoke about this last plague of Egypt, one that would primarily affect the children, which would call for a great outcry, and that would make people everywhere, just want to be heard and taken care of. What's strange about the timing of all this is that I did another show about 11 months ago to the day called Catastrophic Contagion Now Coming. Was actually that was the thumbnail you could see. And in the video I spoke about how it wouldn't be long before we may hear of a virus of sorts or something that would affect primarily children in the future. The reason I said this was because they did a tabletop exercise exactly 1 year and 1 month ago today. And my video was exactly 11 months ago from the day. So it's all just incredibly suspect. Not that they have a crystal ball and they can predict the future, but these are things that people are going to be concerned about. Here than that is what just went down at the end of October. That's right, they had another exercise, because that's what they do. Before these big things hit, there just coincidentally happens to be a bunch of organizations getting together, like Bill and Melinda Gates, and, well, they lay out what's coming next. And this time it seems even scarier. Scarier because this exercise simulated a WHO emergency that disproportionately affects children and young people. Their exercise is about a higher fatality rate in children and young people. Not everybody. The exercise is just about the kids. Sounds like that last plague of Egypt. Now, this wouldn't be a big deal if they didn't also sort of predict this virus of the crown that hit us a year after they did their exercise in 2019. So much so, they had to release a statement saying, no, we didn't predict it, even though we did a whole exercise revolving around the very same type of virus and how we were going to handle it, and we handled it that way. So you wonder, are these the right people to be preparing us?
The reports reference swamped pediatric hospitals in multiple locations, including Beijing and Liaoning, which is around...
Now, before you go getting all worried and you start stocking up on a bunch of NyQuil and Dayquil and Benadryl because CVS is no longer carrying it because they say that it doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. We don't really know if any of that's the case. A lot right now is making people paranoid. A lot right now is making people scared. It's easy for me as a New Yorker to get upset and to worry and to think when stuff like this happens, oh my goodness, what if they, take this a little bit far? Like I described on my last show, when I was talking about how Kathy Hochul has just so important to do the right thing by other people, to be kind, to be genuine, to be forgiving, to be loving. Because right now God is correcting the world. How's he going to do it? You got evil people. How are you going to correct evil people? With forgiving, kind, compassionate? No, probably you want to get people that can lay the smack it down. And I think that that's what's happening. Especially in New York, where right now the big news is this isolation law for quarantine has been reinstated. This was a big to-do in the court system. Now, once again, you got to do your own research and everything else. I'm just kind of talking to you. It's like day before Thanksgiving, you're coming over and we're just talking. We're just hanging. I have no inside information. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but it sounds to me like they could at any point in time come into your house, take one of your children, take them away, not need really probable cause, not need to prove that they're sick or anything else. This is the big scary thing that everybody's talking about. But on the flip side of the coin, this is probably something you would want the state to have power over if there was something horrific. But we look at it through the lens of what just happened, which was absolutely nothing of what we were told. So how are we supposed to believe any of them? You know?
Reports also say that pneumonia outbreaks have led to school cancellations and some illnesses amongst the teachers. Some observers speculate the outbreak could be caused by Mycoplasma pneumonia, commonly known as walking pneumonia. Mycoplasma pneumonia mostly causes a chest cold.
Mostly causes a chest cold. It's easy for us when we hear stories like this to get very scared, to think the worst. It's easy for me when I talk about the fact that in the future we may hear of stories like this, or this may be something we face. It's hard for me to not get worried and think the worst. But we're not called to think the worst. We're called to bring light to darkness. So eat right, be strong, take care of yourself, and don't think the worst. Trust God. And believe me when I say everything is going to work out just okay in the end. Do me a favor, will you? Support the channel by sharing this channel around, telling your friends, hitting the like button, making sure you're subscribed, and going to trulyfreehome.com. Get yourself some non-toxic, amazing cleaning supplies. When you do this, it actually helps me, it helps the channel, and it'll make your life better. Believe me, in the long run. Not to mention, get a copy of The Calling.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set, The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling